This cozy new indie game told a heartwarming story about friendship and acceptance that made me feel every emotion as I was playing it. And I do mean every emotion. Today we are reviewing Misc: A Tiny Tale for the Nintendo Switch. Now, Misc: A Tiny Tale is a new 3D platformer developed by Tinyware Games that is releasing on the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2 on July 22nd and on Steam on July 31st. And this game really took me by surprise. At first glance, you can immediately see the inspiration from other games like Chibi-Robo and Pikmin, but I also found myself reminded of Super Mario Odyssey as I was playing it. Misc follows the story of Buddy and his friend Bagboy, two tiny robots who live in a world where humans are no more, and small robots inhabit the world. One night, while sitting out, Buddy and Bagboy see an explosion in the distance that shakes their home village, and they decide to set out on an adventure together to clean and repair the gates at the neighboring villages, leading them to meeting and befriending a cast of colorful characters. The game and story is laid out in a chapter-based fashion, with each chapter starting with a cutscene and a narration that is written and read in such a way that it reminds me of having a storybook read to me as a child, which was kind of nostalgic and nice. Now, I don't want to spoil the later bits of the story of this game, but this game starts very heartwarming and makes you feel good, but it absolutely shocked me in the latter half of the game. There were story beats that I would have never expected from a game like this if I just took a quick look at it, and these story beats made me feel emotions ranging from sadness to anger to regret and more. It is a story that is deceptively warm and simple at the start and really has you asking, wait, did that actually just happen once you get farther into the game? It was equal parts surprising and exciting to see how quickly the story turns on its head, making me want to continue playing and not put the game down until I knew exactly what happened at the end. But what exactly are you doing in the world of Misc: A Tiny Tale? Well, at the start of the game, as you set out as Buddy, you quickly see this is a very simple 3D platformer. You can run, jump, dive, crouch, and hover with your little helicopter thing on your head, but this simplicity doesn't take away from the overall experience. It actually fits in rather perfect fashion, in my opinion. The simplicity makes the game feel really cozy and rather relaxed, allowing you to take in the game's well-designed levels that range from an old playground for you to explore or a freezer that was left open that turns the landscape around it into a winter wonderland. And the graphics specifically on the Switch 2, which is where I played this game, look great with vibrant colors that really make the scenery pop, all while running at a smooth 60 frames per second with no hiccups that I noticed my entire playthrough. However, there is some differences between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 version. There is just a texture overall difference. The resolution is definitely lower on the original Nintendo Switch version, but the Switch 2 boosts that resolution up and gets that smoother frame rate at 60 FPS, which is quite nice. Now, each level felt unique, having their own distinct themes, and they had tons to take in with a wealth of characters to meet and interact with. The levels are designed around three main objectives: collecting the golden cogs that are used to repair the gate at each village to move on to the next level, which are scattered all over and remind me a bit like the moons in Mario Odyssey or the bananas in Donkey Kong Bonanza. The other objective is cleaning up and recycling trash and messes scattered throughout the varied locations, but also you can help out the locals of each location that you happen to be in. And these side characters that you meet, while never being huge major components of the story outside of a handful, always seem to have some interesting dialogue pertaining to them specifically, or a personal dilemma that they were dealing with, which Buddy and Bagboy help them overcome and accept about themselves. With each person you help, you begin to pick up on the game's overarching theme of acceptance, no matter how different someone might be from yourself, which really ties back to the heartwarming aspect of this particular game. Now, the cleaning aspect of this game is something that I thought would be kind of dull when I initially hopped in, but it was actually something I ended up enjoying the further I got into the game. I always found myself searching for all the trash in the environment to clean up to get my progress bar to 100%. There are also additional bonus rooms in each level that provide an extra platforming challenge for you to complete in each location, which I really enjoyed because I just wasn't anticipating it. Now, there is also some combat a bit later into this particular game, but it's fairly spaced out and it pits you against some easily dealt with enemies, and while it's there, combat never never really seemed like it was a main focus of the game and more of an afterthought, which is fine for me personally, as it kept me in the cozy and laid back vibe that the game put me in from the start, which I appreciated. Now, as someone who really enjoys 100%ing games and getting platinum trophies on PlayStation, finishing all the Moons and Mario, stuff of that nature, this game really hit home for me. By completing all the tasks for the villagers in each level, collecting all the golden cogs, and finishing the bonus room on top of cleaning up the mess in each location, you can 100% each level, making this game a treat for completionists and fans of collectathons like myself. I 100% all but one level in this game, and that is where my one complaint with Misc a Tiny Tale actually stems from. Now, earlier I talked about having to clean up all the trash in an area to acquire 100%, but the issue I found on more than one level is that some of the trash you were supposed to be collecting looked strikingly similar to just standard debris used to add character to the environments you were in, making it difficult to track down the last couple bits of trash you needed once you had cleaned up the majority in the location. I can't tell you the number of times I would be done with everything else on a level but still had to track down that last few bits of trash to get my 100%, and I would search for like 20 to 30 minutes until I found it. In chapter 3 specifically, I simply couldn't find it, and it is the only chapter in the game I did not complete with 100%. I was just stuck at 98% completion, and I even used the cheater function, which the game made fun of me for using, which is supposed to detect the trash when you are near it in order to clean it up, but this system didn't really seem to work. It didn't help me find it any easier, and after over an hour of searching, I just gave up and moved on. But this is genuinely my only gripe with this game. Everything else I enjoyed thoroughly, from the story to the fun platforming, but I would definitely say that the cleaning aspect needs a better way of distinguishing the trash from the debris on the level. Perhaps a better highlight with a starker contrast or something to that effect that makes it stand out a bit more as you're looking through the environment. Now, the sound design and the music in this game is really well done as well. Since each level has its own theme, there were tons of different environmental noises to take in, from the sound of bouncing off a mushroom to the sound of cleaning up a pile of sand in the desert. The music also seemed appropriate for each location, and the story even had some music that was sung in some of the cutscenes, which was a nice touch that I wasn't really expecting. My favorite level by far in this game also was the one with the best sound design in my opinion. This level was designed around musical instruments. The music was very upbeat in this location, and the way it sounded when you interact with all the different instruments scattered throughout this, like bouncing off a drum or walking up a xylophone, was just very charming and made me smile as I was playing through this level. I absolutely adored this particular section of the game. All in all, Misc a Tiny Tale is a very enjoyable 3D platformer that, while having simplistic gameplay and some annoying collectibles in the form of the trash scattered and hidden throughout each level, had me hooked with its well-designed world and story that caught me by complete surprise and had me emotionally invested by the end. It takes just enough inspiration from other games in the genre while not being too samey to create a unique and heartwarming experience that feels right at home on a Nintendo console and is definitely worth your time. And launching at only $20, this is definitely a game you should keep your eye on if you are a fan of 3D platformers. I enjoyed my entire experience with this particular game aside from looking for that trash, but all in all, this game just made me smile as I played and even made me feel some other emotions I wasn't expecting, so definitely worth checking out. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you to Tinyware Games for sending me a review code to check out Misc a Tiny Tale, and you guys should definitely check out the game on July 22nd or July 31st. July 22nd on Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch, and July 31st on Steam. Fantastic game, and I really enjoyed my time with it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and comment. Helps me out, helps this video out, helps the channel out immensely. But like I said, that is it, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.